Hi there, my name is Kendrick, and today I get to interview Sarah. So Sarah, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Sarah, can you tell us your full type, please?
ISFP or full type? Yeah.
Yeah, and
No.
OPS code. Yeah,
Okay. FM, FISE, consume, play, sleep, last.
awesome. And when you got the results back, what did you think and how did you feel?
Um, it was sort of I don't know how to explain it. It was unexpected at the same time. So like when I saw just like the letters, I was like, I knew it was Taylor Swift right away. I was like, fuck. No. But so like I thought I was TI, like that was the part I was the most sure about. But when I saw the like lead FI with masculine TE, I was like, I can see that too, kind of. But it was like a very calm way of being shocked. I was like not really taken aback too much.
So I guess you still saw yourself as an IP. It was just like a different kind of IP.
Yes, I knew I had a lot of IP tendencies, but I also thought I was an observer because a lot of my like actual fears are observed fears. So I have a lot of yeah, and I see that also as the double activated SE in my saviors. So more than actually like playing and playing with people.
So when you saw Taylor Swift and you're like, shit, like what do you not like her? Because is it and then like she ends up being your type. So it's like, people
Mhm.
usually don't like someone that is like the same type as them, right? So is
I
it like
know.
something like that? Like, is it what about her that you did not like? Or
She's like, okay, so I have to say I have not watched too many of her interviews or anything like that before getting my type, but like I've always viewed her as like a crybaby. And like, oh, just like such a pity party around her all the time. And like, yeah, a bit petty.
and those traits that you described, do you see any of those traits in you personally?
I don't know. I not like I can see it when I was younger, definitely. But now that I'm older, I don't think I have too much of that. I think I'm more like in love with my masculinity to be like feeling sorry for myself
Yeah.
because like I view myself as a part of the group more and more as I get older. So it's not like this boo like feminine FI thing.
I guess you saw yourself as a thinker because your TE is masculine and your FI is
Yeah,
feminine. So it's easier to see the masculine functions.
for sure.
And then also with your observer problems is probably because you're consume, double activate consume, and
Yeah.
your first animal is consume, and then your last animal is blast, and they're both observer animals. So you're kind of balanced in the middle with like the decider stuff, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so you're gonna have problems from both like a decider and observer perspective. Why don't we go with the observer problems first? So yeah, even though you're a decider, you're gonna have a lot of observer problems as a result of your animal stack. So can you talk a little bit
Yeah.
about your observer problems?
Okay, so I've like always had sort of certain things because I also thought that I could possibly be lead an I because I have like physical things that scares me, like the chaos of traffic and knives and um, just like uh, things harming me or the people around me. That's scary to me. So like a tree falling or something like that, I find very scary. And it can like actually be stopped in my tracks if I'm walking around or something. Because I think about those things maybe happening.
You have masculine NI, right? So
Yeah.
maybe that's why you also thought your lead N is
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, and then what about your decider problems? That's gonna be the bigger one, supposedly. Did
Yeah.
you have more of that when you were younger? Like tribe hate
Yeah.
and that?
Not like tribe hate, but oh maybe. I don't know. but it's it's like I've been told by friends that I'm too distant, I'm very aloof, and they have told me that they're not really sure if I enjoy being around them, and like, oh, do you actually like me? Are we friends? Because like they don't feel like I've given them the attention or the what is it called? Not attention and like appreciation, like continually, because like I do that very like heartfelt like every once in a while, and then I stop kind of, because like I think that okay, that moment will last until the next time, because like why not? But yeah, so that's my decider problems. And also like, yeah, but like friendships and relationships I find very confusing. I'm trying to get better at it, but it's like a mystery to me, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that you think that like one nice thing you said will last, like, is it like once a year that you say it? Like, oh yeah, I hit my quota this year. You got your one compliment.
Maybe twice.
Yeah, twice. Okay, every 6 months. Okay. Yeah, you have save your play, so it's twice a year. And and then it's like, okay, now where's my compliment? you know? Um, so
Can you tell me how great I am?
yeah. Um, all
Oh.
right. Um, what about so one of the deciders problem is like getting abandoned by the tribe. Do you have that fear, like people are gonna abandon you and stuff?
Not really fear, no, but I'm afraid that the people around me that I love are dying. That's a huge thing that I've like I had a lot of intrusive thoughts when I was younger about like my parents dying and my friends dying and my siblings dying. So I think that can be related to it, because like them disappearing from me and me not appreciating them enough, or yeah, stuff like that has been a very big thing for me. But not like being left by the tribe. But I've been extremely lucky and have friends that have been so patient with me, like not giving up on like uh, just because like I don't hang out with them that much, that they still like want to hang out with me, and they know that okay, that's just who you are, how you operate, and they not seeing that as a rejection now that we've gotten older.
Maybe they're like,
But I have, yeah, but friends of mine have been like viewing that as rejection when I was very young. But I've also had like the same friends since I was, yeah, in like middle school or earlier.
that's a huge achievement for like an IP, is like, maintaining those friendship for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have like IP friends too, and then they like to say to like I have an INTP friend, and he was like so proud to tell his like fiance, he's like, oh, me and Kendrick, we've been friends, for like 20 plus years. I was like,
Oh,
like it's like such a big deal, right? For like an IP, it's like, oh, long-term friendship. That is like
yes.
that is like
Yeah.
the pinnacle of I don't know, like uh
Yeah.
yeah.
It's the best feeling, I would say, because like when you have friends that you've had for so long, it becomes a part of you. So it's like my friends, I know them almost just as well as I know myself. So like it's very easy to communicate, because like I know how they react in almost any situation. I know how they behave in any situation and what makes them comfortable and uncomfortable and everything. So yeah, it sort of become a part of the IP's identity, kind of.
Well, I guess they're
When
inside
you're,
your FI, so
yeah,
they're a part of you.
yeah.
You said earlier that you don't understand relationships. I want to kind of dig deeper into this. So what part of relationships don't you understand? Like what part of it is like confusing or
It's,
challenging?
okay, if like relationships and like romantic relationships, especially, because like it's it's just weird to me. It's like because I don't like the relationships that I see around me is very uh, okay, I'm like trying to, okay, so I've always said that I can imagine myself being married, but not just like boyfriend girlfriend. because I like the every day, like we live together, we have a life together, our economy is like the same. It's like the whole life part, or like the um and not like the like instability of like, oh, are we like just like hooking up and like going on dates. Like I've never been on a date because like that is so strange to me.
All right. um,
It's so weird.
I,
But like yeah, the like casual, we just are a part of each other's life like 100%. That I get.
yeah, I was gonna ask you if it's like a Taylor Swift kind of thing because she has a new boyfriend every year, right? So it's like, so
That's not me.
not you. Okay. Um, me, like I don't know if you saw the video they did with like people with FE and like versus FI, and like for people with like FE, for them it's like making a decision to get married right away is very easy, but for like FI it like takes longer. But then the way you're describing yourself is like you almost prefer to get married and you don't have like that middle area.
Yeah, I think that's also a single decider thing for me, because like whatever I love, I want that all the time. So like the like saying goodbye to each other late at night and having hung out all day is like, why? I don't. It's just it's weird to me. So like yeah, being married is more comfortable. Like I feel like kind of married to my friends, also like my family, like everybody that's my people, kind of. That's the type of relationship that I view like being married to a partner, if that makes sense.
So like IPs and EJs, you're like you have the swing, right? Like you'll be an IP for most of the time of your life, but then you'll swing to EJ occasionally or for certain things in life. So one of the things that EJs are kind of seen as is kind of like they are a little bit on the clingy side, like they want to be with people all the time. So do you find that like that's your EJ swing? Is like, you say I don't want you to go home, I want us to be together all day. It's like, is that your like EJ swing? It's like, it's kind of like let's be together all the time.
Yeah, that could be because like when I'm hanging out with one or two or three, like whoever I'm like used to hang out with for a certain time, then it's almost constant. It's like I can stay over at my friend's house for like 3 weeks without a problem when I'm in that mood. And then I get out of it and then I'm just hanging out by myself, having a good time then too.
So you're okay with being alone and also with people, like you're like it doesn't matter, you're good with both?
uh not um it's like I have to very much mentally prepare to be with people. So I can't just be told that, yeah, we're going to hang out with this group, or like we're going to do this, because then it's sort of, if I'm in the mood to just be alone, then that's very overwhelming to me.
But the way you viewed relationships though, it's like let's be together all day. So so how is that different from like friendship, where like in romantic
Oh,
relationships you prefer to like be together with your partner all day?
yeah, okay, so I see it as, because like my partner and my friends that I can just sort of hang out with at any time are a part of my DI. So just like I can hang out with me all the time, I can hang out with them because I know them and how they behave, uh, to the degree that I'm comfortable with hanging out with them all the time. It's not like anything's going to happen, like a conflict or like something that makes me uncomfortable, because I know that person so well.
I see. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So it goes back to your FI again. If they're in your FI, then hey, no problem all day. But if it's like a new person, then
Yeah.
that's like that's scary, you know.
Yeah, and that also makes it really hard for me to like go on dates and like get a boyfriend, because like I will bet it's a new person, and that's a lot of confusion to me.
Right, right. Yeah, I kind of see like, you know, like Dave and Chan kind of talk about like IPs. It's like it's kind of like IJs in a way. For IJs, it's like they don't want anything new when it comes to like information or concepts. But for like IPs, it's like they don't want new people. They want like the same people. So they like obsessed with the same people. So it's kind of like IJ like. Um, and so I can see your perspective. And then like the EJ, it's like it's like the way I see it is like very interesting with like IPs and EJs. Is like with the EJs usually chasing the IP, but then
Yeah.
when they end up together, then you know, because the EJ is very good at like finding new people, that
Mhm.
like their eye starts to wander to like other people, and then I guess like the IP is like now it's like, oh, stay here, you know. And then so
Yeah,
it's like a it's like so
it's
it's like
very
yeah, and then the IP becomes the EJ, and then the EJ becomes the IP, you know. So it's like yeah.
so funny. Yeah, that like, because I have an EJ friend, like one of my best friends, she's an EJ, and it's like, and she is a TE EJ. So like I see how, because she like talks to everybody, is very like, she's very seeking out people to like to do stuff with. And I also like know when she has to like calm down, be reflective, sort of do sleep processing. That's when she reaches out to me, because I know her very well. I know like all her FI story, and then she talks to me to sleep process and like ping off of me for it to like be a more comfortable sleep processing for her.
Yeah, do you enjoy those
That
kind of
makes a
interaction?
I love it.
You love
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
You know what I like about IPs the most? Because like I have friends with like EJs and IPs and stuff and whatnot, is I find that with IPs, when you talk to them, not all, but a lot that I've experienced, it's like they really want to hear your story. So it's
Yeah.
yeah. So what part of about that? Like, because you know, like they say, like, okay, IPs just want to talk about themselves, right? But yes, that is true that they do want to talk about themselves a lot. But I've also seen IPs like really want to hear the other person's story also. So can you talk about like your desire to hear the other person's story?
You stopped. Oh, are you back?
Yeah. Did you hear what I said earlier?
No, nothing at all.
Where did I stop talking?
It was at oh God, feminine sensory.
Yeah, bad question.
Um,
Okay, no, I'll go back to again. So
okay.
basically, what I was saying is like, you know, the stereotype with IP is you guys just want to talk about yourself all day.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But um, from my own personal experience, and also it seems like from your description that you do like to hear other people's story as well. So and you said you enjoy hearing that part also. So I forgot my exact question, but I'm gonna have to change it a little bit. But basically, what part of the other person's story do you find interesting, or like you really want to listen to them and hear their story, even though it's not about you, it's about them? It's like what part of it like fascinates you?
Yeah. Okay, so it depends if it's somebody I know really well, or somebody that I don't know that well or at all. So if it's somebody I know really well, then we it's like because I sort of view their problems as my problems, because like we're sort of not the same person, but I view them as me. So if I'm going to take care of me, I also have to take care of them. And it's very often that people come to, like my close friends come to me with emotional problems, because I help them process their emotions, which is also a reason, like I thought about it yesterday, that's one of my feminine FI things, because like I've tried to puzzle it, how I am an FI. Yeah, so they come to me to process their emotions, and then I sort of can, if they talk about an emotional state, then I can analyze that from a emotional state too, because it's feminine. So it's like we can work it out together, because like, okay, you're in this emotional state, I can put myself in the place, and then we can figure it out. And also I'm really comfortable with their emotions, so it's good. But with other people that I don't know that well, it's like I've had, like, this is something I did very early on, like I made a game kind of social interaction. So I didn't actually and like if the conversation was really boring, then I made a game out of it, and then sort of analyzed, okay, what is this person, who is this person, what are their patterns, what are their struggles in life, and if this, then that for that person. So, and this is like usually what I do at parties, and I see that also as like my NT blast, organizing and then talking back to them, seeing what I figured out based on their patterns.
But in general, do you prefer like more like the energy dominant conversations, or like you're just being goofy and silly and you know?
Not really. I don't know. Because like I thought I did, like on a day-to-day basis, yes. But if I'm at like a social gathering and I'm kind of uncomfortable, or like I'm bored, it's like, okay, I need a good conversation. I think that's very important to me, to feel like I have control of the situation, or like I have some sort of guideline, because I can't just like be spontaneous and have fun with anybody, because I don't find anybody like all people fun to be around. So
Right.
yeah.
I want to ask about your consume. Your consume is double feminine, so that's your first animal, and even though you have masculine DE, it like I guess because you have double feminine as your first animal, you come across as very double feminine. Do you kind of agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Very much.
then the next question then is, your blast is double masculine, and you're gonna rip someone's face off with that. Like, how do you when does it come out? When does a double masculine NT blast comes out? You know,
Oh,
it's
it's
NT
like,
also, so I don't know what that's like.
no,
Like what does it look like when it comes out?
it's okay, so I'm like trying to like think of it in not a like super demon state, because like if I talk about something that I'm extremely interested in and know a lot about, then I can be very like concise in how I talk and how I formulate it. I can write really, really well when it comes to stuff like that. So like if I have a theory about like free will or determinism within philosophy, then I can write like sort of a math equation on what is the most reasonable thing to apply to life, or like have as a view of life, kind of, or like the truth of it. So yeah, and I make it very concise and to the point with things like that. And like before that point, I've consumed a lot of information. I've talked to a lot of people. I've sleep processed. I've done like the whole animal stack and done it very, very thoroughly. And then when I've sort of found my like sleep conclusion, I have to make it make sense. And if it does not like make sense at that point, then I'm like, okay, I have to start over, or I have to process more. So yeah, that's like not the demon state. That's like the fun part.
What's the demon state though? Like, I'm curious about the demon one, the one
It's
that
like,
the offensive one. That's the one I want to hear about.
yeah, it's like I can, oh, it's like I, like as Shan talked about, being extremely confident in NT. It's like if I figured something out, if I know like the logic, the complexity of something, it's very hard for me to not be all in on it and be extremely confident that I have the answer. And I also, like, if somebody disagrees with me, I can very easily argue my side. And I'm in a conflict, I'm very intense. I'm trying to be not that, but like I can be extremely to the point. I talk extremely fast. I have sort of all my arguments lined up very quickly, and I know that I can, like, I've been told that I can be very scary when I'm in that mood.
So you have a lot of long-term friends, and since you're comfortable with them, it's like with IP, they usually don't act crazy unless they know you. So because you have so many childhood friends that do know you. What happened when you did blow up on them with that double masculine anti-blast?
Yeah.
Because like they know you, so of course you're okay with doing it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like what my friends have said is that I actually become a demon. Like one of my friends just like a bit like, what is it called? Okay, so a lot of my friends are Christian, and they're like, when they say demon, they kind of actually mean like you're possessed by a demon right now. And that is so funny to me. It's like I get this like rage and like that makes no sense. Like that's all. It's like this fairness thing also. Like that's unfair. Like you did this and now you're doing that, and it's inconsistent. And also like being very not preachy, but if I know something is wrong or like a behavior is wrong, then I'm very comfortable calling it out, being extremely direct, extremely to the point. This is how you're wrong and this is how you have to change it. And I'm being more and more comfortable with it. And I'm like, I really enjoy that part of me. But I know that when I was younger, it was more of a possessed by a demon mood.
I interviewed a girl who's an ESFP, and she is FM, same sexual modality as you, also blast last. And I had a meetup here, or not here. I'm in vacation right now. I'm in the Maldives.
Maldives?
Yeah. You can see the beach.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Well, I'm leaving tomorrow, so I'm sad. But anyways, yeah. So anyways, like so because she has like a similar function stack, animal stack as you, she said something to me that's very interesting. So I don't know if you relate to it. So because she has feminine Fi and double masculine anti-blast, she said that when she's upset, she will start crying a lot while screaming horrible things to people with that double masculine blast. Has that
That's what I do.
has that happened to you?
Yeah.
Like you're crying fully and then like screaming the worst words.
I'm so pissed because I don't view myself as a very emotional person, because I'm like usually very, very emotionally stable. But if I do get frustrated or do get angry at somebody, it's like I'm yelling, I'm being very aggressive and crying. And like pouring. It's exhausting, but it's very like freeing also to have that blowout or blow up.
Therapeutic to do that. Just get it all out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like a lot of aggression, but also like a lot of like tender emotion at the same time. It's weird. I don't know. Like it's
so weird. Yeah, definitely. And like the crying, yeah. Oh, but like I'm trying to be better at like not attacking the person and just like go for the facts, because I feel very comfortable in like, especially masculine, and I just like, oh, just go for the patterns. This is what happens every time. This is okay. And not like, you are this horrible person and you're never going to change and this is what you always do. So yeah, I'm getting like quite good at that, I have to say. So yeah, I'm happy about that.
Let's talk about your feminine FI. It's your first function. It's feminine, so it's kind of interesting. You said you're usually emotionally stable, but isn't feminine FI like very like erratic? It's like up and down, up and down. So do you not relate with that part, or?
No, I don't really, because not now. When I was younger, I think I was a bit more like all over the place, kind of like fragile in a way. But like I always strive to be in harmony with myself. Like I want, like, it's like this feeling, like this state of being at peace and sort of having this extreme appreciation for everything. And that is a state of being very peaceful within yourself and within your environment and the people around you. So yeah, and I hold on to that feeling as much as I can. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And not like I can't watch certain movies because like it triggers me. It's like yeah. So like there's a lot of stuff that I avoid to keep myself at a good state.
I see. So you know like your boundaries. Otherwise, if you immerse yourself in certain things, it's gonna hit you hard.
Yes. Yes.
Your consume is double feminine. Do you like forget things that you've consumed? Like it's like it never happened. Like
kind of, yeah. It's like movies I've watched, I don't remember what actually happened. It's like I have like it depends, like because I like a lot of fantasy books and I'm just like taking Harry Potter as an example. It's like I think whenever I read those books that I forget the story, but it's like I remember everything of that because I know the patterns, I know what the story is, so nothing surprises me. But if it's a movie that I was not like, I'm trying to come up with an example. Yeah, just like a rom-com or something like that. I can like watch it and feel like it's the first time over and over again. Yeah, and get like the feelings that I got like the first time.
that's kind of nice.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, because everything's fresh and new. So
yeah, yeah. So like I love watching the same stuff all the time because like I knew it got a good reaction and it feels like the first time for a long time. So I can just like keep on watching the same stuff over and over and over again.
Yeah, you're an IPEP, right? So you're gonna be chaotic, I guess. How do you see your chaotic side, or is that something you don't see really?
I don't see that. It's like because that's one of the more surprising things. To be play above sleep, but I see it more like because like I'm a very mopey person. Like when I'm not like having a conversation like this, I'm very mopey. I'm very sort of monotone. Yeah, so and also not very chaotic. I'm very like precise. Like if I'm making food, for example, I'm very like precise in how I cut it. And like whatever that's occupying me is very concise or like precise or thorough. But I also like when I do make food, it's a lot of stuff that I don't care about lying around. That's like garbage and yeah. So it's more like physical chaos in a way. But what I do is not chaotic, if that makes sense.
It makes sense, but I think it makes sense that you are savior play also, because like your play is ST, right? So since we're talking, I've heard you giving me like reports of like what happened, but I haven't heard much NF stuff, you know? So and your sleep would be NF, right? So it's I guess from an external perspective, it's easy to see you like STing as opposed to NFing, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
It's like my NF, because I knew that I was demon NF. I thought it was NF last, and savior NT. But yeah, because I see that's like what I see like the most, like more than play above sleep. Because like I see, okay, yeah, SC makes more sense with being a saver than NF. And also my NF is like a very personal, I've realized like the last couple of days. Yeah.
You also ping pretty well. Like I've been talking to you and like you ping really quickly. Like when we talk, you ping like it's like a savior play kind of ping. It's not like
Good.
yeah. You're like, yeah, okay, let's like I have an answer ready already. You know, it's like, you know, the ping pong thing. So yeah, you're definitely not like if I say something, it's not like, oh yeah, it's this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not that. Yeah, you're like going really quickly, you know.
Because I've thought about that too, because I thought I was demon play. So and also I thought I was play last at some point because I don't interact with people that much. But that's also like the IPness. So it's, yeah, I have like this sort of compulsion to whatever's happening, I have to react to it. So like my dog, if my dog is wanting to hang out with me, I have to react to her and give her something. And if somebody's talking to me, trying to talk to me, I'm like, I don't want to talk, but I have to tell them that I don't want to talk. I can't just like overlook them or like pretend they're not there.
Right. That's good. That's a good thing, because then I think like as an IP, you would get less tribe hate from that. Like, because at least you're communicating, right? So it's like,
yeah, I think so. Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. And I want to talk about your NF. So you said it's personal to you, and you said it's a demon. You even thought it was your fourth animal. The first thing I want to ask you in regards to your NF is, do you have any code that you adhere by, like some like personal code or saying like you know, a lot of people with like your function stack, they have like a code or something. Like some of the people I've interviewed before in the past tell me I don't have a code, and then like 1 minute later they tell me their code. So it's like, you know, so
it may be that they don't know what you're talking about when you say code, though.
Yeah.
Like, because to me, like, okay, I'm trying to think. Okay, so
like a mantra. Like a mantra or something, or like a saying, yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, I had one when I was younger, but I've forgotten it. Like I've had a lot of different ones. But like the most consistent thing is that, okay, when I'm talking to somebody, I have to have the state of mind that I wish them all the best, that I have like this infinite love for everything. And it gives me a lot of patience and a lot of peace. So like if I'm in the state, like everything is beautiful, everything is the way it is, sort of very zen, very harmony state of being, kind of.
Dave and Shannon talked about like there's like a wrestler, his name is the Undertaker. I don't know if you've heard of him. Yeah. So they type him as an ISFP, but they didn't go over his full like
the Undertaker, really?
Yeah. The Undertaker is an ISFP.
Oh, that's so funny.
They said he's a black class ISFP, but they didn't, like I said, they didn't cover his like animal stack yet, except for like, you know, he's a blast class and probably double masculine is what they said. So like in the last WrestleMania, I don't know if you watch wrestling, but like in
I haven't watched it in a long time.
Oh, but you know what it is. So So yeah.
And he disappeared for a while, right? And then came back. And is that him?
He just retired actually.
Okay.
Yeah, he just retired, and he did a speech, and I thought his speech was really cool because it's like finally his blast last came out, and he gave a lesson during his speech, and the speech he told me he pretty much openly said what was his code like to the whole world. And he had two codes. I think there was 2 or 3 codes that he mentioned, but there was 2 that was really particularly good, because one was very like IP-ish and the other one was very EJ-ish. And I thought that by the fact that he adhered to both was good. So like the first quote that he had was very IP. You're not gonna be surprised. He said, "Your life is your own, and you should always live life according to yourself. You know, like what you want." So that one is like, okay, yeah, no shit, like IP. Okay, of course the IP is gonna say that, right? Um, but the second code that he said I felt was so good. I thought it was like the perfect like growth mindset code for like any IP. He said, when he was young, his father gave him like the best advice he's ever given him, and he's kind of adhered to that advice ever since. And basically, the advice that his father gave to him is like, you know, because at that point, his dad gave him the advice when he won his first championship belt from Hulk Hogan, right? You know, and you know, Hulk Hogan's like super popular, right? So, so his father said to him, he's like, "Hey son, you living below your means?" He's like, "Yes, I am." He's like, "Okay, good. Okay, well, I have one advice for you." He said, "On your way to the top, every single person that you step on will be the same asses that you kiss on your way down." You know, and yeah, and then he said, "So make sure you treat everyone with respect, because on your way down, you know, that's what's gonna happen." So he said that, you know, like the biggest lesson in his life is like always treat everyone with utmost respect. And I thought, I was like, wow, that's like an amazing like an IP kind of lesson, because like as an IP, I don't know if you do this, maybe you don't, maybe you do, I don't know, but like, you know, like a lot of IPs want to be like the best, right? Or like to stand out, and sometimes you will step on other people's toes to get to that point, like, you know, like but if you respect people, then people are gonna respect you, right? It's like
it's
like
so
very
true.
yeah. So
Also like
yeah, go ahead.
what were you gonna say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say like, well, so how do you feel about like that way of thinking where like, yeah, you know, it's respect everyone no matter how they are, you know, like, you know, one of the biggest thing that you would be scared of as an IP is judgment. So like well, why don't we talk about that? So like, how do you feel about being judged, and do you also judge other people as an IP, like as your type?
Because I think I not really, because I've always been surprised, because I have another EJ friend who has always talked about like people judging her and not being what people want her to be, and having to sort of talk a lot about judgment. And a few other friends of mine too have talked a lot about that, and shame, and like all these like decider things. And I've never really felt it myself, because to me it's because like I don't judge other people. Like, why would I do that? It doesn't make sense to me, because like the patience that I have with myself, I also want to have with other people. And if I'm going to give myself slack, I have to do that with other people too. So it's like I have like this maybe code to treat people how I want to be treated myself, like, and not like actually like I'm doing like my love language is gifts or whatever, like physical touch, like I'm doing that to you all day because that's what I want. But like actually listening to the other person, having patience, and having enough, like putting enough time to actually get to know that person and not judge them. It's very because it's very narrow-minded to be and also like it's putting a lot of emphasis on how people view you and how you view yourself, because like the people that judge, like the people who are afraid to be judged judge other people too. So, and that's something I've been very aware of, like, don't do that, that's a bad idea, that's going to bite you in the ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think it's you say that because you're an IP and it's you don't see the tribe perspective? So like
Yeah.
and you're like you're not seeing it.
Yeah.
If the tribe judges you, how would you react to it? If
So
you
I
can,
have been judged like many times, because like I just do my thing, kind of
right.
the IP story.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make sense to people a lot of the time. And I get that. But it's not because like I have a lot of trust in myself and my NI, especially. I trust my NI. Like if I sort of feel like my path is off, then I'm gonna go to another one because like I know that it's not aligning with where I want to go. So I'm not gonna waste my time doing something that's different from my path. And if I'm judged on that by people at some point, like changing my path, it's like, oh well, I can explain it to you, like this is where I want to go, and you can see how that is not aligning with where I want to go. And if they still judge me after having that conversation, then that's on them. I did at least a bit of play.
It's funny we're talking about judgment because like earlier, me and my girlfriend were judging someone. We so we were taking because we're going to go get like breakfast, and the resort's big, so they have to take a golf cart or something to like take us around.
Yeah.
And like
Oh.
and the guy driving the golf cart asked me and my girlfriend's like, "Do you guys mind if we pick up one more person?" We're like, "Yeah, sure, that's fine." And then we get to that place, and then this girl comes into the cart and like doesn't like say any thank you or anything nice to the driver, and like it makes us wait there for so long for her to come out, and like and then so we're like, we're like
Annoying.
so we're like judging her, right? Like my girlfriend's like, "Oh yeah, what a biatch," right? And then I'm like, "Yeah, she's not very nice." Like she's so
Not even like a bit polite. That's so
yeah,
weird.
yeah. So I guess there's like a time and place for judgment, because like that,
Yeah.
like for me it's like yeah, that's kind of just, even an IP would be pissed another IP if they were to do that, right? It's like that's
Yes,
inconsiderate,
for sure.
yeah.
And like, okay, so when I judge people, I'm like, I've had a bit time to think, because like, yeah, that's what you mean by judgment. Like in church, because like I've grown up Christian and have a lot of Christian beliefs too, and but I'm like not like per definition Christian, I would say, like traditionally Christian at least. And in church, I do very often judge the pastor or like the priest or like whoever is speaking, because like they're inconsistent. It doesn't make sense. They also are very preachy in a way that is not logical. Like I hear like it's very like I'm in masculine T mode when I'm thinking about like stuff like that. And especially if somebody else is talking, it's like, okay, if you're gonna talk about beliefs, you can't just like, this is what God has done for me emotionally. It's like, okay, yeah, cool. And that's when like I'm judging because like it's so fluffy and you have to prove it. You have to have more than just like, yeah, it said this in this part of the Bible, and this is how I interpret it. It's like, yeah, that's it.
I like how you're shitting on the FE, like your TE is
Yeah,
shitting on the FE. It's like, yeah, that sounds
for
nice,
sure.
but like I want
Yeah,
yeah,
fuck off.
yeah, yeah. It's like,
That's,
yeah, that's funny. um
yeah,
I want to ask you about being visual. So you're FM. Do
yeah,
you, I guess, learn best from what you see, and then
yeah, yeah. But also, it's, um, I learn like I learn the best from I would say. It's like just remembering patterns, remembering like with the typology, it's very easy for me to remember like people's personality codes, like much easier than remembering names or, but I remember like the face and the code. And also like if I have to remember uh, like uh, a stack of numbers, for example, I have to sort of visually see it, but also I have to remember the pattern or like remember it. Yeah, it's like it's sort of hard to explain, but I definitely I see 100% how I am visual, because like, yeah, visual stuff affects me a lot. And it also, I'm like drawn to things that are beautiful, but I also view like most things as beautiful, like especially like natural beauty, like faces and trees, flowers, like water when it glitters, like that's absolutely captivating to me. So, and like gold, but um like architecture, when it's ugly, it really, it's like when it's very unnatural in its forms, like visually, it really like makes me almost like sick. Yeah, it can
I
makes
see.
me, it can make me really angry and like upset.
That's when you become judgmental. No, I'm just
Yeah. Yes, I
kidding.
judge that person.
Yeah,
Bad taste.
yeah. What about the tester part? So tester is like with smell. Do you like to try like different food and stuff, or like different
Not
scents,
food.
perfumes,
I've
perfume?
Scents, yes. I work at a perfumery actually, and I'm extremely good at the perfume part. It's like I have this hyper sense of smell. So, but because of that, I also don't, I'm very sensitive to things that smell bad to me, and a lot of food smells like shit to me.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna eat it if it smells bad. But it's like it's mainly smell, yeah. And I
Oh,
can
that's,
very easily like tell people what perfume they would like based on just like this one perfume and who they are.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. We're both engaging on a career or job that is using our second sexual modality, not the first one, because like yours is like you're visual um
Mhm.
by default, but then you chose to do the tester one instead. Like I work in fitness, right? So that's
Mhm.
kinesthetic, but then
Yeah.
I'm really auditory, so it's weird. It's like
Oh yeah, that's
yeah,
right.
yeah. So it's weird that
Yeah.
I like it makes me think like what if you chose your first, you know, learning
Yeah.
modality? Would that like make your career so much
That's
better? You know, like
an interesting point actually. Oh, because like it's mm, because like I'm very good at drawing, I'm very good at painting, like all like those visually creative things are very naturally something I'm good at. So, and I've like been told that, oh, you should sell it, you should produce a lot more,
yeah,
you should like, oh, I would love to get one. That's like one painting or like something. But it's kind of like I don't want to profit out of something that I really enjoy, if that makes sense. I don't want to make it a chore
right.
because it's sort of like I have this sense of calm and peace when I do it. And if I have to do it to a certain time or to do it, because it takes a lot of time. If you want to like paint something perfectly realistic, you can't just like take a day to make it as precise as I would want it to be. So like sitting there with a painting for like 3 weeks and not getting money in, that's not very profitable if you don't have like everything else sort of around it set up, which is something I have not done. Demon TE, maybe.
Yeah. That was that what the way you described that was like perfect, like double observing, by the way. It was like so good.
Thank you.
Yeah, because like you were talking about like what you're passionate in, but you don't
Mhm.
want to like pervert it by like
Mm.
commercializing it. So
Yeah.
also like FI, of course. So and I can relate to what you said because like for me, I have a travel blog and a travel YouTube channel, but I felt like when I was trying to rely on it as like my main like gig for like online stuff, then
Yeah.
it kind of destroyed some of the passion I had for it. And then
Yeah.
and then the personality stuff is like my second favorite. So it kind of made more sense to like pick your second favorite as like
Yeah.
to be your thing as opposed to like your main one, because the main one's more like relaxing, as you said, right? It's like more
Yeah.
enjoyable, so you don't want to pervert it by like commercializing it, right? So yeah,
So true. Yeah.
yeah.
So true.
um I want to talk about you being IP, and so I did an interview with all the IP people. I don't know if you saw that one, but like
When was it? Was it
it's pretty recent. It's
recently?
like 2 weeks ago, I
Yeah.
think, or 2.5 weeks
Yeah.
ago.
Okay.
But
So I've had a break for like almost a month now. So anything within that time, I've not.
yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
But like I interviewed like all the IP type, like all like
Oh, okay. I'm gonna
IP,
watch it later.
INTP, ISFP, INFP, and INTP, and then like the jumper and standard version of all
Yeah.
those types.
Oh, really? You did all of them?
Yeah, all of them. Yeah, it was
Oh,
so hard.
great.
Yeah, it was cool to have everyone together, but it was also interesting to see everyone's like I was like kind of thinking to myself, I'm like, who wants to talk about themselves the most? Like like and
Yeah.
like yeah, no, it was just, and I think the most jarring part of the interview was the TI versus FI. That was like, it's like, oh my God, it's like the people with FI, they really like stand out. Like the FI is so like kind of, it's like, when you have FI, you are kind of weird, right? So
Yeah, I think so.
which is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing.
No. I love being
Yeah.
weird and
Yeah.
having weird.
Yeah, when you're FI, you are kind of like inappropriate and kind of weird, and like,
Yeah.
but also there's like a part that also like you cannot stop looking at the person with FI because it's so fascinating. It's like, so when there's something's really weird, you can't like look away.
Okay, it's very random, but I've been told by so many people that okay, if it could be anybody for one day, I would be you. I'm like, why? Why would you be me? And they say like, because you're in this like weird little world of your own, and that would be just fascinating. And I'm like, what? So I see how that like the standout thing is yeah, that's interesting. That's funny.
Yeah, no, because I think with the TIs, when they look at the FIs, they're like, what the fuck is this person doing? Like it's like what the hell's going on here? It's like you can't reason with this person, right? It's like it's just like
It's so funny.
it's like just do what I want. It's like
Yeah.
yeah. So
Oh.
so basically, the conclusion we got from like that interview, that or at least my conclusion that I saw, and then people seem to agree, was like TI wants to be the best. They want to stand out by being the best, but like FI, they want to stand out by being different or original or unique. So I thought it was like really
Yeah.
fascinating. I mean, there is some overlap sometimes. Some TIs do want to be
Yeah.
unique and different, and some FIs do want to be the best. But
Yeah.
it seems like there is like maybe like, I'm just making this number up, like 80-20,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
like FI prefers to stand out by originality and stuff.
Yeah.
So do you feel like you resonate with that? Like being the best per se is not your goal, but like being different and unique and like just being authentically you, and and doing that to stand out is like what you prefer to do?
I've always like wanted to be the best. If I'm doing something I want, and that's also one of the reasons that I thought I was TI, because like that's the anecdote, like one of the anecdotal differences. Yeah, I want to be the best. If I'm gonna do something, I'm going, and it's like and it's both also, because like I want a different kind of take on something if I'm doing it. But I also want to be the best. It's like this yeah, very IP. I have my own thing kind of, but it's not like I don't really have a need to be like unique or different or like yeah, like stand out of the crowd really.
I wonder if that's like an SE thing, like because you're always comparing like the sensory with other people, like like
Yeah,
the way they describe
I
people
do
with
that.
SEs, like for guys, like who has the biggest muscle, or for girls, like who looks the best. It's like there's always like that competition with like the SE.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I also don't, because I've had friends of mine, I talked about this with Ian too, but a friends of mine saying like, no, Austin, yeah, whatever,
The
one
INTJ.
of yeah, I
Okay.
think I talked to him about it. um yeah, friends of mine thinking that I was prettier than them and being uncomfortable with me being prettier than them. So it's like I also don't like being viewed as anything really. Like it's like physical appearance, I don't like the comparison part of that. It's kind of because like I also see it as my consume being double feminine, and also my Fi and Se, yeah, those two being feminine. It's like I view everything as beautiful, and if you say that, it's sort of like an Fi value thing. It's like, okay, I'm not more beautiful than you, you're a different type of beautiful. And I see how you can possibly think that I'm more stereotypically beautiful, but it doesn't like devaluate your beauty, if that makes sense. So yeah, I have no need to like stand out, because like I think everything is beautiful and stands out, or like, yeah. And I also have no need to be like weirdo or quirky
Yeah.
or like,
Well, I think because
yeah,
you have like the what's like the stereotype blonde hair, blue eyes. So I think you
yeah, I do.
yeah it's like the Barbie look. So yeah
Yeah,
yeah
like I've always heard like Disney Princess, Barbie, like all of those. So
yeah.
yeah,
Does it bother you when people like make those comments? Like
it does, yeah, because like and it's like if I've done an effort to look a certain way, then it's like fun because like I achieved my goal. But if it's like just being and then it being pointed out, it's kind of weird. It's like it's just my face, it's just my body, it's like it's nothing new, kind of, it's nothing special. Even though I don't feel ugly, it's like I'm very confident about like the way I look, but it's just a weird thing. Yeah.
um okay, so I'm gonna ask this like kind of like you know what I'll tell you the story first and then I'll ask you the question. Okay, so you know Jessica Alba, right?
Yeah.
You know she's considered to be like one of the prettiest girls in the world, right? And
Yeah.
like so there was a talk show a long time ago where they had Jessica Alba and this guy who wrote the book called The Game. It's about the pickup
Yeah,
artist.
yeah, yeah.
You read that book?
No,
Yeah.
I have not read it, but I know about it.
Yeah. So the author of the book was in this like this talk show, and then right beside him is Jessica Alba, right? And then like the talk show pretty much asked her, it's like, okay, try to pick her up, right? Try to pick up Jessica Alba, right?
She's play last, isn't she? I think she's
Uh,
play last.
yeah, she's way last, right? And then like, and then the way he did it, I think he just got lucky because Jessica Alba's an ESFP,
Mm-hmm.
and people with your functions like function stack,
Mm-hmm.
your sleep is NF, right? So obviously from my perspective, like how you want to be perceived or seen is through your NF, like how you
Yeah.
are like you know, you think big picture, you have a lot of like deep philosophical like thoughts
Yeah.
and very deep values that you really
Mm-hmm.
that matter most to you, as well as
Mm-hmm.
your character and whatnot, like your character as like a person, not like your appearance, like how
Yeah.
you are as a character.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
so yeah, in the talk show, how he tried to pick her up was like saying, tell me 5 things about you that has nothing to do with your looks that you want people to see you as.
Right. Yeah.
And then she started saying, oh yeah, you know, I'm like, you know, I'm loyal, blah blah blah, just saying all this stuff, right? And then, you know, and you could tell her like she's getting like, you know, like kind of like attractive, like saying all this stuff. I'm like, my God. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, he just made her talk about her like inner world. And when you get someone
Yeah.
to talk about their inner world, then obviously you like that person more, right? Like
Yeah.
automatically. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So
Oh,
I want to
funny.
go. I want to bring this to you, Ned. Like,
Yeah.
do you prefer it when people know your inner NF? Then is that like what you like your character, like your
Yeah.
values? Like, is that how you want people to understand you, get to know you, not by like how you look, but like your character? Is that accurate?
Yeah. Kind of. Yeah. Like yes, primarily, but it's also uh, it sort of depends because if it's a hard one to answer actually. It's because like in I see like my IP to EJ swing, and if I'm just like if I'm in a role, like if I'm analyzing somebody or like I'm at work or if I'm yeah, if I have like a way of being that and like if I'm at a party, I want to be people to connect with me very deeply, because that sort of throws me off. Like people, if like I've had several guys coming into work or where I work and asking me out, trying to get to know me, like wanting to like connect with me when I'm at work. And that just like absolutely confuses me, and like it makes me like anxious, because like, okay, yeah, I knew they came in just because they thought I was pretty. And also it's like I have to like completely change my mindset in that moment, because like I have to be polite and either reject them or say yes. I've never been on dates, so it's been usually rejecting. And um yeah, it's it's like I have to like completely reset how I think or how I interact. And I become like very different, I think, in my state of being, not like my person, but like uh yeah, it's weird.
Do you think it's because when you're at work, you're using your TE, not your like F, and like there's a video that David Chan showed before. I don't know if you saw it, but it's like they had an interview with an ISFP and an INTP actor. One of them is the Forrest Gump guy, and I don't remember the ISFP guy. But anyways,
Yeah,
anyways, like the way they presented it was like people who are like TI, then they want to connect with people emotionally, but like people with like TE at the bottom, like the ISFP or INFP, they want to connect through work.
yeah,
So maybe when you are like at work, that's kind of like what you're seeking. It's like, I want to do a good job at work. I want to connect through work to like, yeah. And then these
I
people
want to
come
do a
in.
good job.
Yeah. And then these people
I
come
want
in.
the validation that I get, not like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
makes sense. I've thought about like because I hate working with people, having like when I make food, I don't want to make it together. If I clean my room, I don't want anybody to be there. And I thought that was because they talked about how that's TI. You want to do things alone. And I relate to that so much, because like I find the teamwork thing very strange. But if I can do like, if I'm teaching something, then I'm good. If I'm it's kind of like if it's a one-way street that I'm just like doing this, telling people what to do, then I'm good. But if it's the we're doing it together, no thank you.
I see what's going on, because your blast is because you're energy dominant, right? So you're like,
Yeah,
like they make fun of you guys a lot with like, you guys ruin conversations because it's like this is a
yeah,
one-way street. So when you're ready to blast, it's just like, I'm gonna blast and I'll shut up and go away. It's
yeah.
like, um I see, I
So
see. Yeah.
yeah.
All right. I have last two questions for you, Sarah, and then we'll wrap up the interview. I actually had a really good question. It flew out of my head, so it's kind of annoying that it happened that way. So
Yeah.
but I have masculine SI, but it's in the bottom, so I still forget things all the time. So it's kind of annoying.
It's like
Um,
everything else is like coming into your head and you get distracted. Kind of.
well, because I'm listening to you, so now I forgot my
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
Yeah.
I know the feeling. It's like the feminine OI savior. It's like, oh, I have this idea, I have this idea. And then it's like way back into your head somewhere. It's the question. And you remember it like afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of
Yeah.
remember it now, but I kind of don't. It's like, I think it had something to do with play, but then but it flew away. So I'm kind of annoyed now. But anyways, whatever. Um,
Julia.
oh, it's gone. It's gone. I don't remember it. I'm so annoyed. Um, Let me ask you about something else then. Let's talk about your NI then. Okay, so you have masculine NI, right?
Yeah.
So I have masculine SI. So like earlier you said that you like to do the work by yourself sometimes, and then
Yeah.
you like, and it's like easier for you to do that than to work with people. So in that case, like the NI is what you're building. So for me with SI, I don't like to organize like physical space with people because I think they're gonna do a shitty job, and I think I'm gonna do a better job. So I rather do like the SI by myself and like organize the physical space by myself. The only time I would like let someone else like do the SI is if they have like clearly they have SI higher than me, like an ISTJ or something. And then in that case, yeah, go ahead. Like I can trust that you have a better SI than me. You have NI. Do you resonate with that? Except like for you, it's like world building with concepts and ideas and whatnot. Like how do you see your NI, and how do you personally build things in your NI world?
Yeah. So I see, because like I can take like a practical example. Like if I want to organize my closet or my room, I have to make this like the flow of the room, or like the flow of the closet has to be in a way that makes sense to me. Like it's like I know that if it's a kind of like yeah, everything has its place, but it's not like the thing, it's the system of it has to flow. It has to make sort of sense to my intuition, so that I don't have to think about like what I'm actually picking up. Is like, okay, I have this category of thing in my mind, I have this vision in my mind, usually, especially with clothes. It's like I have this vision in my mind, and if I have the sort of the system of clothing in the same type of pattern, this is like a hyper romantic type of flowy clothing, and this is like a more masculine type of shirts or whatever, then if it goes like from one thing to the other, I know exactly where to sort of get that mood that I want, or like the physical thing that I want. And it's also kind of like that with my mental states. It's like I know, it's like my sleep kind of. It's like I know all of my emotions and where I have to sort of place myself to keep a steady emotion when it comes to like where I want to go in life, or what where I see my life heading, kind of. And if I'm off that track with my emotions, I also get off that track with my goal. So I see like the NI and FI being very tied together when it comes to like where I want to go in life. Yeah. So that's the best examples that I have.
Yeah, that makes sense. You're kind of planning
Yeah.
emotionally
Ahead.
or what you
Yes.
like long term.
Yeah. Yeah. And if I can make that emotional state real, kind of, to me, like I know it's going to happen before it's happening. So I've had like a lot of sort of weird things that I'm predicting. Like when I was in 7th grade, I saw one guy, and I knew I'm going to be with him. Something is going to happen between us. And he was like, years later, it was no reason for us to like actually meet or like hang out. And then we ended up staying at the same place in Greece. And then we met, and then we sort of had a thing. So
Gotcha.
like things like that. It's like also, I can't, if somebody like, okay, yeah, can you do this for me this Saturday? And I just like get this feeling that something's gonna happen. I don't know what it is, but I have a feeling that something fun is gonna happen, and I have to save my energy that day because I see this thing happening. Nothing is planned, but I know it's gonna happen. And that day, like the day before, like one of my friends asked me, oh, do you want to go to this concert? We have free tickets. Things like that is not uncommon for me if I'm like in the right state of being, kind of.
Yeah, that sounds like masculine NI, like you're convinced something's gonna happen. And then it sounds very NF also.
Yeah.
It's like you can't explain it, right? But it does, just because you
Yeah.
can't explain it doesn't mean it's not real, because it clearly something
Yes.
happened, right? So
Yeah.
um
Yeah. And I've been into like manifestation and the law of assumption, and it's kind of strange because I have like this, it's because like, okay, the law of assumption is that you assume things to be true before they are true, and it's very NI. And I've always done that. I didn't know that was a thing that people have noticed, but it's like, I didn't know it was a law, kind of. It's not an actual law. I don't know what it is, but it's something. It's not really provable, but it's enough. So, but it's something there in the future. I know it's gonna happen. Yeah.
It must feel weird to be a person that doesn't believe NF, you know, like you have NF fourth. Like I can't, because there's like I feel like NF is super real. I have it as I'm like you, I have it like third and it's a demon.
Yeah.
But like I totally believe it's like 100% real, you know. So
it's weird. But like I also, because like I was very like traditionally Christian when I was younger, and having to change my worldview to be more ST clear to me, and also just make sense with what I saw in reality. And also, yeah, so like that, having to go from a certain set of NF world understanding, values and everything, and sort of deconstruct it was extremely difficult for me, because I had to do a lot of consume, do a lot of processing, going back and forth, my NF not being settled, kind of, because it's sleep and it's masculine and it's like, if I don't have a way, it's no way, kind of. It could be anything. So yeah, it's I don't remember what you said, but that's what I said now. So
yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
thank you.
I have one last question for you, and then before the last question, actually, I just realized I noticed, I don't know if like your type twin is Taylor Swift, but I don't think you look like Taylor Swift. Actually, I think you kind of look closer to like Scarlett Johansson. Like I don't know, like that's
Really, my sister looks exactly like Scarlett Johansson. Not exactly, but very close to Scarlett
really,
Johansson.
maybe is she like an ESFP then? Like your sister's an
I think she is MF or MM, some kind of ESFP. Yeah.
Yeah, I think what I like about OPS is like you could be MM and still look super feminine. Like Scarlett Johansson looks super feminine, right? But she's like MM. It's like, huh?
Yeah.
And then like was that chick that they typed recently was also like MM, and then he's like, what's that?
Emma Stone? Maybe?
Yeah. I was like, what the hell? She's double masculine. She's like the most double feminine. But then when you hear her talk, she's aggressive, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very funny.
Yeah.
It's like yeah, it's weird. And that's also like when I was typed FM, because like I am like, I've always been told that I'm like super feminine. Like I'm the most feminine person that people know.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not. I know that I'm not that fluffy, kind of, or like so funny.
I think FM do come across as super feminine, especially because you're visual. Like, but it's like, what's a word I'm looking for? Like, it in a way, FM seems more feminine than FF, like double feminine, like in a way.
Like they want to express
What's
it,
that?
like visually. They want to express something visually, kind of.
Yeah, I guess so. Because like,
is it a way of moving or Millie? My dog is just intense.
Your dog understands Norwegian. That's funny. Okay, anyways, last question so you can play with your doggy.
On the topic of looking like Taylor Swift, some people think I look exactly like her, and some people think that I don't at all.
Yeah, you don't. Not even close. Like,
no,
except for the blonde hair. Yeah, but that's about it. Yeah. Although Taylor Swift does look like she's like from the Nordic countries. Like she doesn't look like she's German, British, I think, or something like that. But like she doesn't look German or British. She looks like Scandinavian. She looks Scandinavian. Yeah, she does have like the Scandinavian look. So
it's like the tall blonde blue hair, like the blue eyed.
Yeah, because she's super tall, right? So it's like like I don't know if you're super tall, but like maybe you
are. like 173 centimeters. I don't know what to call it in English. I think I'm 5'9". I think that's the right one.
Oh yeah, you're super tall then. Yeah.
But like here, I'm like sort of
Your normal
a bit above standard.
Oh, I see. You know what? I also noticed that like Norwegians and Swedish are very different, like very different. Like, yeah, because like I've been to both places and I'm like, no offense to Swedish people, like this is just disclaimer. Don't want to offend anyone. You know, I already got tribe hate like recently, but like, what's that?
You did? Did you get?
Yeah. There's like a big, it's long story.
Oh,
I'll make a video I'll make a video about it soon. Like it's.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, but anyways, like, but like I noticed when I traveled to Sweden and Norway that Norwegian is more friendly than the Swedish. Maybe it's just I went there on a bad day, and that's what happened.
Maybe.
But I just noticed like Norwegian people were like super gung ho to chat with me, but the Swedish people did not. So that's just yeah.
It's like, okay, so our stereotype of Swedish people is that they're more shallow, kind of.
What?
It's like not shallow, but
you're gonna get tribe hate now. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know. Forward to it.
Yeah.
But it's like this, it's like we view ourselves as very grounded, very real. It's like no BS. And and like the Swedish people are like more like party, shallow, like fancy clothes, kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not too much into that kind of stuff, but it's a funny thing.
Okay, from an outsider's perspective, I don't see that. I don't see the stereotype like that you're mentioning.
No.
But
I don't either from my own experience, but it's like it's this like sibling rivalry, whatever.
Well, I mean, in Europe, like you guys hate each other, right? Like your neighbors and stuff. So like that's what I noticed when I was in Europe. Like I go to one country, and then they're like for example, like I was in like Switzerland, right? And they're like, oh yeah, we hate those Germans. Then I go to Germany, they're like, yeah, we hate those Swiss people, and then I go to the next country, like I go to like Netherlands, or like, yeah, those Belgian people, they're idiots, right? They're stupid. Like we don't respect them. I'm like, what the hell? Why do they like what is happen in every country I go to? Why do they say shit about their neighbor? So
it's like it's also like this friendly hate. So it's not like we actually hate each other. If like something happened, like you actually hang out, like you actually are on team.
It's maybe it's more like a play, like a playful.
Yeah,
like,
it is. Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
All right, Sarah. Last question. How did you get into like personality type, like OPS, for example? And like, what is your ultimate goal from it? Like, what do you want to get out of it? Like, now that you know your type and stuff, like, what do you want to like practice on improving your fourth animal and your fourth function? Or like, what is your ultimate, what's your ideal like picture of your end goal, from this?
Oh, that's a good one. So I got into personality types just because I'm very fascinated, and I do think that because I've also my dog is very annoying. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
But because I've always analyzed people, so to me it's always been very obvious that it's some sort of code that people have in place in them. So I sort of saw that from early on, and I thought like, okay, do people have a theory? What is it? Like I got into astrology. It made no sense. Well, it made kind of sense within itself, but it didn't really, actually make sense. It was very like, it's woo-woo to me. But with the MBTI, I saw a more realistic way of approaching personality. And then I got into OPS and
I think the video froze. I don't know if you're still there.
Precise and even more like.
That your video froze.
Okay.
Can you say that again?
Yeah, your video froze too. Okay, where did I cut off?
You were saying like you got into MBTI because it was more realistic than the other stuff, and then you got to OPS, and then that's where you got cut off.
Yeah. So I got into OPS and it was even more detailed and more clear. And also like it made a lot of sense with what I saw for myself in the people that I've analyzed and the people that that I know. So it just yeah, it was very clear to me. And even though like I don't, okay, I thought you were like cutting off.
I'm just still like I'm not moving.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah. So I thought, like, even though I don't feel like I know the whole system well enough yet, but and I see it as very consistent with what I see myself. And what I want from it, it's, yeah, I want to like for myself or like for other people, it's like I enjoy teaching people about OPS and I love seeing how they actually can communicate better with the knowledge of a personality type because like I've talked to a lot of people about it and they see it as well, especially within friend groups. So it's very nice. It's fun to see people. So it reduces conflicts in a lot of ways to what I've seen, and also sort of welcomes more real conversations, kind of. Yeah. And for myself, like I want to get amazing at NT Blast. So yeah. And I'm doing it when I'm explaining OPS, so it's nice.
Yeah. Nice. Awesome. All right, Sarah, thanks for coming out and doing this interview and getting us to get to know you better and more about your type as well.
Yeah.
All right. So take care and I'll see you around the community.
Yes. Have a good last day.
I will.
Or like, yeah.
I'm gonna pig out later. All right. See you.
Bye.